Game developers worldwide are promised to make over $99 billion in revenues by the end of this year. Impressive number, huh? Especially compared to Ukrainian GDP. While we are at Casual Connect 2016 in San Francisco, this is an exclusive report from Bożena Shermeta for BrainTV. Tune in. Casual Connect is one of the biggest events in the game industry, called to unite the experts in the field, the investors and the developers to find new ways of collaboration. This year, the visitors could engage in 35 lectures from the stars of the game industry and VC market on such topics as VR and AR, kids games, Casino, platforms and distribution, market navigation, esports, design, innovation, funding and many others.
My name is Orchid. I'm the developer content manager for the design and development track, as well as one of the editors for GameSauce. It's more than hard to pick one topic since we put a lot of sleepless nights and effort in each of them. But I can say that this year's conference reflects the general trend of the industry, when the the line between casual and hardcore games and mid-core games and other directions is getting thinner and thinner. So we try to not to divide the games by hardcore or casual. In our name is for the manner of communication and not actually the type of games. We try to involve as many types of games as possible, as well as people who are involved in different sides of their creation. So it doesn't matter whether the company is big or whether the person is known, it just depends on the experience that they can bring to the table.
You know, I mean, the thing that I realized in doing a lot of free-to-play games is, free-to-play, I started off being a free-to-play hater, and or at least not a fan, and I love free-to-play now, and both as a player and as a designer. And I think that the reason is that part of it is it keeps you really honest, and if you make a game that people want to keep playing, you're not going to make any money in that game. And in the olden days, somebody would make hours and hours and hours of content, and people couldn't get past the first 30 minutes, and the developer's attitude would be, well, that's okay, I already made my money, right? And in free-to-play, the thing what we're maniacal about is retention, and for two reasons. One is that from a brand perspective, we want daily engagement with our guests, right? And if people aren't coming back, we don't have brand engagement. But then the second thing is that I can tell you right now, there is no game on the planet Earth that makes a lot of money with low retention. None. Right? You have to have high retention. And so we just focus on, when we go into geo beta and when we optimize these games in the beginning, we look at monetization and stuff? Yeah, we do. But our real focus is on retention and just keeping guests coming back. And we can tell if you've got a game that people want to play again and again and again, you can figure out how to make money out of that game. But if you don't, then you've got a problem.
That's fair. I would say, and I might look biased in this regard because I'm the Series A investor in Snapchat, but I think Snapchat has been pointing the way to the kind of VR that we're seeing in with the Pokemon Go product. And so I'm not as surprised by the enthusiasm for it, because I think you can see a lot of inklings of it in Snapchat.
Yeah, so I think VR definitely is a new high growth area in terms of tech, and so it is very exciting. It is a greenfield opportunity. I do think that if there are people that are interested in getting involved in VR, definitely finding a team of people that are experienced and have experience, whether it's in interactive gaming or in our perspective where we're doing interactive gaming and Hollywood type of entertainment. I think the VR is kind of the mix of both of those in many cases. So you got to go out there and meet other people that are also very passionate about it, that have experience building those types of games or that type of content, whether it's live action, 360 type video or interactive immersive entertainment, and build a team and find people around you with more experience. And I think that's the way to get in. It's hard to kind of break in without really putting together a team or joining a team that's on the move, because even though we are early, there are teams that are being put together, and there's lots of opportunities out there. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, you've seen already the acquisition of Oculus and a lot of other activity going on in the VR space. So there's companies out there that are definitely making moves like we are at the Rogue Initiative.
The third day of the conference featured announcing the winners of the Indie Prize, a competition for indie developers held in terms of Casual Connect. According to Yulia Moshkarova, one of the organizers of Casual Connect, Indie Prize is a scholarship program for indie developers which was held in San Francisco for the 15th time. Indie Prize participants were provided with 2 free all-access passes each to all the lectures, networking events and parties during 3 days of the conference, free spot to showcase the game in the Indie Prize area along with 100 world's best indie developers during the event. For the USA showcase, there were 293 game submissions from 35 different countries. One of the nominations of the contest was the Best Narrative, and the Forest Song game, developed by the American and Ukrainian BioRegin, won the nomination. The game is based on the Ukrainian drama Lisova Pisnya.
My name is Sean Vesey. I'm the development director at Calabi Studios. We're a small collective of storytellers, technologists, and creatives that are based in Seattle, Washington. And we have developers also in Kiev, Ukraine. So I have about 2 decades of experience developing games. I started in the mid-90s at Activision, where I worked on the MechWarrior series and Interstate 76. Before going independent, I was the head of Crystal Dynamics in Menlo Park, where we worked on the Tomb Raider series. And about 4 years ago, I met Dima Veryovka, my partner, to work on a really special project called Never Alone. Never Alone was a atmospheric platformer that celebrated and shared Inupiaq culture, that's Alaska Native culture, with the world. We had great success with that project, so we're continuing on the quest to share and celebrate world cultures through games. So last year at the Game Developers Conference, Dima and I were giving a talk about our work on Never Alone, and a group of Ukrainian game developers came up to us and said, you made such a beautiful game about Alaska Native culture. They were speaking to Dima, who's from Odessa, and asked, why don't you make a game about your own culture? And this was a really tough question for Dima. After the conference, we spoke on many occasions about whether or not this was the right time or what Ukraine culture had to share with the world, and we came up with a lot of great answers to that question. Ukrainians, as an American, my exposure to Ukrainian culture was through news media and tended to be about more of the negative things like political corruption and war and things like that. But once I started to learn more about Ukrainian traditions and dramas like Lisova Pisnya, you realize that there's a lot of wonderful things that people should know about that culture. Within the culture, people that may not know, and also outside. So we were lucky enough to partner with the National University of Kiev. The head of the folklore department contacted us and invited us to come on a 2-week cultural expedition to Western Ukraine in Volyn. So we spent time there interviewing villagers, touring, hearing from folklore experts, and that really solidified our commitment to making this game. One of our goals for the Forest Song is to be able to have voices from the Ukrainian community come across through to players, and so while we were in Volyn and in trips that are coming up, we plan to do a lot of cultural ethnography interviews, and what we do is embed those videos in the game as unlockables, and so you can hear directly from people about their values and their worldview. And what we find is that players really get to experience something rich and something real, and that's not common in many video games.
The number of attendees is approximately 3,000 professionals. We have people from all over the world and even from places that are more than distant from here, but I think that most of our attendees are from this area, from San Francisco and around, or from the States. I can say that we were choosing our speakers based on how useful they are for our audience. How useful is what they can offer to them. If someone has some experience that another person can take and put to use in their practice, of course with some modifications, because every case is unique, we went for that person as a speaker. I sometimes try to overhear, but I think whenever someone sees a person from the team, they only talk nice things, which is nice and which is cute. What I've heard is what people value most is something they can actually grab and take away. This is why it's called takeaways. Something they can take and implement right there, or when they come home after the conference, or where they come to the office after the conference. So that is something that is of actual use for them.